Hi and welcome. Today we will continue our introduction to modeling in 3ds Max. Before starting to talk how to model 3D object and how to build it in 3ds Max, we must know and we need to know the whole landscape of modeling in 3ds Max. We have several techniques and workflow to model 3D objects, such as 3D surface modeling, 3D procedural modeling, and also 2D procedural modeling that we have started yesterday lessons. And just to refresh our memories, yesterday we have seen how to create 3D object using 2D shape and lathe modifier and extrude modifier. But today we will continue to use this technique and we will start to create 3D object using the same technique, 2D shape plus lathe modifier. We will discover the advantage and disadvantage of using this modifier in the first part of our lessons. In the next part of our lessons, we will know and we will study, how to modify 3D object using freeform deformation, known in 3ds Max as FFD modifier. So, let's start the first part. But before starting, and above all, look at this picture and try to define the common point between those elements. So, cylindrical form. Let's go deeper than that. It's symmetrical. Okay, so here we have several object and you said that's symmetrical object. So, when we want to use 2D shape and lathe modifier, we have some steps to analyze before starting to model. If we took this example, we must make a section to our object to define the 2D shape. When we make a section to our object, we will have the 2D shape symmetrical. If we keep only one part, we can define the profile of our object. Clear? Okay, in the next video, we will see how we must analyze our object. Okay, this is our object, and we will make a section to our object. We have two symmetrical, we will keep only one part. This is our profile, must have an axe to define our pivot point, and then we can add a lathe modifier. Okay? But there is one issue that we must understand and we must ensure before applying lathe modifier. Our profile must be repetitive profile. Who can tell me what's repetitive profile? Hassan, what's repetitive profile?
There is no change in the profile.
There is?
No change in the profile.
No changing. What do you mean about no changing?
We keep always the same profile with the modifier.
We keep always the same shape. When our profile will make a rotation around an axe, he won't be changing. Okay? So, in the next video, we have here two types of objects. We have this example on the left side, this example on the right side. Here we have a repetitive profile. If we make our section, as we have seen just in the last example, we see here that we have a repetitive profile. But here we have two profiles. One like this and one other like this. This is non-repetitive profile. Okay? So let's see this to make it more clear than that. Okay. We will make the same operation. This is our shape. This is repetitive. This is not repetitive. Okay? So, when we took a 2D shape plus lathe modifier, we will have a 3D object. This is the formula. 2D shape plus lathe modifier equal 3D object. But we must ensure the presence of our first thing,
Profile.
the profile. We must define here in this image. We have several objects in 3D in red color, and we have also the profile in the blue color. Next thing, we must define the location of our pivot point. Okay? So here, in this example, we have the same object and we have the same profile, but we must define the position of our profile here. Our profile pivot point is located just here in the desired position. If we change it by mistake, we can have a strange results. Okay? So, first thing, define the profile, repetitive profile. Next thing, we must have an idea how, when and where to put our pivot point in the right position and the right location. So, next thing, the operation of lathe, the lathe modifier will apply the rotation of our profile. Here, in this example, the picture shows that our profile is repeated around an axis, but can you define the degree of repetition, the degree of rotation? 118. So we must define also the degree. Lathe modifier allow us to create several objects. It can be also complicated object, like this one. We have an object 3D realized in 3ds Max, and we have just in the right side the profile of our object. So the steps analyze. When we analyze an object, in purpose to decide if it can be modeled using lathe modifier and 2D shape, we must ensure the presence of three major points. First one, define a repetitive profile. Second thing, place the profile in the profile point in the appropriate location to avoid strange results. Third thing is that the repetition is an operation of a rotation and a copy, so we must define our degree of rotation. Is it clear?
Yes.
Have you any question?
How do we place the pivot point?
Okay, we will see that in the demonstration. But just here, is that clear for you?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so we will start our demonstration. So please put the mouse down and try to follow me. Okay? So this is the final result that we will have after our course. When we finish our demonstration, we will be able to create this in 3ds Max. Okay? So, first thing to do in 3ds Max before starting any project is what? Is to set the scale. Excellent. So, and how we can do this? How we can set our scale, our units?
By going to customize and unit setup.
Customize,
Unit setup.
unit setup, excellent. So here we are in metric, centimeter, 1 unit equal 1 centimeter. Okay? Okay. So let's start our demonstration. Here I have my reference image. And in the file that you have, the file of the course, lesson number 04, we have the file and we have the reference image. First thing to do is to begin by the creation of the profile. So, create, shape, and then line. In highlighter, the board. Excellent. Only I must be on the demonstration line. Okay. So first thing, as I see, line, and I'll start the creation of my profile. But here, must ensure to avoid extra points. To have a nice shape. Click and drag. Click. Click and drag. Click. One other. And then must and hold the shift key and drag it. Okay? Then I can refine my shape by going on modify and I select the vertices and I can refine my shape this. I must hold the shift key. I will convert it to a busy to have the opportunity to manipulate and to refine my shape like this. Also here, the shift key is held. Here again. I think that's great. Okay? But our glass has a thickness here. We have a thickness of glass. And this thickness is closed just in this point. Okay? So we must select spline and select our spline and add an outline to have our thickness glass. We will add our thickness like this, and then I will take the segment and I will delete those one. This one, this one. Okay, delete. This vertex must be in this position. And refining our shape. Okay? So, first step is to draw the profile. Next thing is to set our points. So here, the first point must be in the middle of our glass. So here, in this case, it must be in 0 position. And this point also must be at the same coordination of this point. So here again, we must make this point at the 0 position. Okay? Next thing to do is to set our pivot point. Okay, this is our pivot point. It must be set on this point or on this point. So, affect pivot, hierarchy, affect pivot only, and then we will activate the snap turtle. And we will drag our pivot point like this. So, we have just to add our lathe modifier. So, modify and lathe modify. Go. And then we have our glass just like here. We have our glass made in a silver clip. Okay? Next thing, in the lathe modifier, we can set the degrees of our object. Like said. And also, we can add a more subdivision level to our object to have smooth 3D geometry by adding segments in our object. But I have a question here. If I want to reshape or refine my 2D shape, can I do it after adding lathe modifier? Yes or no? You remember when we use extrude with 2D shape, can we refine our shape?
If you go back to the line?
Yes, we go back to our line and then we can refine. So, in this case, I will go back to my line. I can show the end result. I will go in front. I can show the end result here. And then I can define and modify my shape as I like. Okay?
Okay.
So, have you any question? Are you confused about what we have just seen?
Can we move the pivot point after we make a lathe modifier?
So we can move the pivot point, but we must add another lathe modifier. We must delete it and add another lathe modifier. So we have to set our pivot point first, before adding the lathe modifier. Okay? So, open the file lesson number 4 and start to make your own list. Open and start. Don't forget to start by defining the profile. And then set your pivot point. And then apply the lathe modifier. Try to avoid extra points. Must have a nice shape. Hold the shift key and drag. You must convert it to the Bézier. Okay. Okay. You missed this one. Also, we must refine this one. Okay. It's not welded. Here. Go down. Maybe here and on top also. So, added the late modifier. Can we see it? Oh, okay. It's new. Can feel the amount. Right. It's okay. Okay, good. Brahim. Try to follow the image. Try to refine your shape after adding late modifier. Go back to your line and refine it. Place the vertices in the right position.
Okay, I go
Axis. Here. You can put this axe like here. Okay? Here, we must click good. Please make sure to place the pivot point in the right position. Make sure of it. Okay. You can add more subdivision level to have a nice shape. Here, with adding segments. Excellent. So, 3 minutes left. Good, good, good. Okay. So here you can go back to your line, okay, and try to refine this shape here to be like the image. Just hold Shift key, hold the Shift, okay, and drag it, okay. And also here we have a curved spline, so try to move it, excellent, excellent. Okay, so then we have. Just try to turn around your object to see. Turn around with the object. Okay, excellent. It's closed and you have a nice shape. Okay? So, you have completed the exercise?
Yes.
Yes. Who has a question?
Can we add more horizontal segments?
Yes, of course. We can do it by going back to our line and refining the interpolation of our line. So here, in this case, we have this imperfection. This is not fluid. So we go back and added more steps, maybe 10, and then we have a nice shape. We can increase it. This is, we have a nice and fluid shape. Okay? So, please put your mouse down and try to follow me. We'll start the second part of our lesson. So, in the second part of our lesson, we will study how to modify 3D objects using free-form deformation modifier, known in 3ds Max as FFD modifier. So, like the first lesson, look at this picture and try to define the common point between those elements. So, Haytham, what do you think?
Symmetrical.
Symmetrical, excellent. Islam, what do you think? More than symmetrical object.
Cylindrical object.
Cylindrical object, excellent. And all these objects are made with two shape plus 8 modifier. But, in fact, this is the same object. This is the same object. We have here the same button, but each have a reception of a deformation, and he will know the presence of this cage around the object, who act like a deformer for our object. Okay, so we can deform 3D geometry in 3ds Max using a modifier. But this modifier is presented in 3ds Max as an FFD modifier, free-form deformation modifier. So the topic is this geometry will receive a modifier. This modifier is called FFD modifier. He will add a cage around our geometry, and then this cage will have points known as control points, and then we can move these points, scale them, do anything you want to do it to this object to have in the finished result another thing different from the start. So look at this video. This is an example. We will add some subdivision level to have fluidly modifying. This is the FFD 4x4x4 points, and then we pass from a simple geometry to a more complicated geometry using free-form deformation. Okay? So, free-form deformation is presented in 3ds Max in several types. We have more than types of free-form deformation. For the first type, we have FFD 2x2x2. And these numbers are the numbers of the control points. 2x2x2. In this case, we don't need to have a subdivision level. But from this part to another type, from now, we need subdivision level on our 3D geometry. This is the second type, FFD, free-form deformation 3x3x3. Next one is FFD 4x4x4. And from there, we have more possibilities to deform our object. Okay? There is 3 types of FFD, free-form deformation modifier, are predefined modifier. Okay? They are predefined in 3ds Max. But also FFD modifier is presented as a parameterizable modifier. So we have a parameterizable modifier FFD box. Then we can add more than 4x4x4. In this case, we have 10x10x10, and we can increase the number of the control points on our object, and we have more possibilities to deform our object. And we must have a subdivision on our object in this case. And we have also the number 5 is free-form deformation cylindrical. And in this case, we can add this modifier to the object, which can be a cylindrical shape. And it's also parameterizable. We can add more than 4 by 4 by 4. In this case, we have a cylinder of 10 by 10 by 10 control points. Okay? So, who have a question about this? We have the geometry. We added a free-form deformation modifier to deform it. And he is presented in 3ds Max as a several types. We have 5 types. 3 predefined and 2 parameterizable. Okay? So we don't have questions, clear?
Yes.
So we will pass to our demonstration. So please put your mouse down and we'll start our demonstration. So, okay, this is the final result that we will have after this lesson. Okay? We will start by our class that we've just modeled in 3ds Max using 2D procedural modeling workflow, 2D shape and lathe modifier, and we will apply an FFD modifier to our object to have a server type and a server glasses. Okay? So, I will just come back to have my glass. Okay. So, let's start. Here we have our final result. Okay? And we have our line and our lathe modifier. We'll start by adding an FFD free-form deformation 2 by 2 by 2. Okay? In this case, we have and we know the presence of this cage around our geometry, this orange cage. It's 2 by 2 by 2. In this case, I can start the operation of deforming my geometry just by opening a control point. This is little plus in the FFD modifier. I will select control points and then I can select the control point desired to modify like this, and I can start an operation of move. You see, like this, or I can also do an operation of scale like this. Okay? This is the first case. We note also the presence of lattice. This lattice is the zone that's the FFD modifier acting in it. So we can select this point, this lattice, and move it to limit. You see this little cage, this yellow cage. We can define the range of the intervention of FFD 2 by 2 by 2. These control points and lattice are present in the other types of FFD. And we will see, just I will make a copy of this. Just hold the shift key and move, and we have another copy as a copy. And I will, in this case, delete the FFD modifier, and I will add an FFD box in this case. This one is parameterized. Okay? So, I will first thing set the number. Here we have 4 by 4 by 4. I will set the number of control points. I will add it, for example, 10 by 10 by 10. Okay? And then we'll have 10 points by 10 points by 10 points. I will open this little plus, select the control point, and then I will take these points and try to make a scale to them. These points also make a scale this point, I will make scale, maybe move, W, and you see the possibilities that FFD modifier can present to change our object. You can select also the base points and try to apply a modification. Okay? FFD modifier is a powerful tool, and we can use it on 3D object and on 2D object also. Note this, we can use this FFD form, free-form deformation modifier on 3D object and on 2D object also. Okay? So, is that clear?
Yes.
Have you any question? Are you confused? Okay, well, so open your file of 3ds Max that contains your glass and try to make a customized glass of yours.
Do we make a copy of our copy?
Yes. Make a copy and try to have some nice shape with FFD, and I invite you to discover the FFD modifier of 4x4x4, 3x3x3, cylindrical, all the types. It's a powerful tool, and you can start by a simple shape and then have a more complicated shape, just with a few clicks. Nice. Here, you must select your shape to then add it a light modifier. Okay? So, I invite you to try the rotation. You select range and try the rotation. You have seen how to do the move of control points and scale them. Try to make a rotation and see what's happened. What's happened?
Before what's the geometry?
It's distorted. You have an infinity of possibilities using those modifiers. Even when you work with 2D shapes, you can use them. Try to move them a little bit in the down. Okay, okay. Brahim. So, I have a question. In this case, can you come down to your line and add more few steps and added more subdivision and have a flow shape? Can you do this? Try it. Try it.
Yes.
You see, when we let our modifier without compilation, we don't collapse our modifier, we can come back to our lane. حلو لذيذ. Good. Add a 3 by 3 by 3. Try it.
Another copy.
Make another copy, yes. You can delete the modifier and add another modifier. Okay. Okay, excellent. 2 minutes left.
Can I add another modifier or another FD when using FD 3 by 3 by 3?
Try it.
I'm actually trying.
Of course, you have more steps to do. You can start by a simple shape, adding a 2D procedural modifier, like lathe in this case, and then add an FFD modifier 2 by 2 by 2 by 2, and 3 by 3 by 3, and even an FFD box after to have more FFD in your modifier. It's no problem. You must find the good way to have your shape desired. Have you finished?
Yes.
Yes.
Who has a question? Rahim, have you finished? Show me. Okay, good. Harun,
Yes.
show me. Okay. Haytham, it's good?
Yes.
Have you any question?
No.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Yes.
So, let's have a flashback. When we try to build an object in 3ds Max using 2D shape and lathe modifier, we must ensure the presence of 3 major points. The first one is the profile, excellent. And the profile must be repetitive profile. We must have a repetitive profile. The next step is what? Is to set the pivot point in the right location to avoid strange result. The second step is to
The degree of repetition.
okay, to set the degrees of repetition. This is for the lathe modifier. And for FFD, FFD is freeform deformation modifier, and it's present in 3ds Max in several types. We have how many predefined?
3 types.
3 types predefined and 2 types parameterizable. Okay? FFD modifier is a powerful tool that we can start with a simple form and finish with a more complicated object. Okay? So, time to the quiz. We will try to answer some question. Okay, so read the question and read all the answers. Be patient, please. So the first question is, FFD modifier is present in 3ds Max as predefined and parameterizable. Is that true? Is that false? There are only predefined. Or true, there are 2 parameterizable and 1 predefined. Or false, there are only parameterizable FFD modifier. What do you think? A. Is that true?
Yes.
Yes, of course, it's true. We have parameterizable and we have predefined. So, true it's correct. Okay? Next question. We must ensure that we have some subdivision on our 3D object before applying FFD modifier 2 by 2 by 2. And the question we must here, we must ensure that we have some subdivision. Is that true? Is that false? Only FFD box needs some subdivision level. Or it's false. Only FFD 4 by 4 by 4 modifier needs subdivision level. Or false FFD 2 by 2 by 2 don't need subdivision level. What's the response?
D.
It's D. Excellent. It's D. Okay, we will check. Correct. So, next question. Only 3D spherical object can be created using 2D shape and lathe modifier. Is that true or false? Only spherical object.
False.
False.
Brahim, is that true?
Cylindrical.
It's spherical or cylindrical? Is that true or false? So,
False.
it's false. So, only 3D spherical. Cylindrical object.
Yes.
Cylindrical object. So, it's false. Okay. So good so far. Lathe is a modifier to create 3D object from 2D shape. True? False? False. It's a deformer modifier. Or false, only extrude can do this.
True.
That's true, excellent. So, true, correct. Next question. When we use 2D shape and lathe modifier, we must set up our pivot point in the desired location. No problem. We can modify the pivot point position after applying lathe modifier. True, we must ensure the position of the pivot point to avoid strange results, or all the responses are correct. Or it's advised to define the position of the pivot point before starting the modeling 3D object. It's B?
C.
It's C.
So it's correct.
All the responses are correct, in fact. All, we must, no problem, and we must ensure the pivot point, and also it's advised. It's advised to set the pivot point in the right location before starting. Okay, so all the responses are correct. Next question. After applying lathe modifier, we can come back to refine our 2D shape.
That's true.
False.
It's true. We can come back to refine our shapes. It's true. Next question. Show end result is in the modify panel allowed to refine shape. It's false. Show end result will show us the 3D object when we are in the edit spline. Okay? So it's false. Next question. FFD modifier can be applied only onto the object. Is that false? It can be applied on 3D only on 3D object, or it's false. It can be applied on both 2D and 3D object, or it's true.
B.
It's B, excellent, because it can be applied on 2D and 3D object. Good. It's B. Come on. FFD modifier is a modifier of free-form deformation.
True.
That's true. Excellent. It's correct. The last question, FFD modifier is present in 3ds Max in 5 times.
That's true.
Excellent. It's true. Okay, great. So, this is your homework. You will do this at home. You will try to create this object. This is a design. This is a schizo vase designed by Ooms designers. And you will try to make this object on 3ds Max using 2D procedural modeling workflow. 2D shape plus lathe modifier. And for the next lesson, we'll see how to create more complicated geometry using a loft. This is a new technique that we will explore and we will discover in the next lesson. And we will discover how to create more complicated objects using shapes. Okay? So, thank you very much and see you in the next lesson.
Thank you.